Internet marketing speaker, educator, and consultant, David McBee has been sharing his knowledge with local businesses since 2003. As one of Google's first certified AdWords trainers, David has worked in the fields of SEO, paid search, social media, and display advertising. He speaks to thousands of business owners each year about the latest in marketing technology. Working so closely with the ARA and me, David has personally been a part of many rental-focused internet marketing campaigns over the years. Please join me in welcoming David to the ARA show.
Thank you for saying this is one of the finest seminars of the day. Oh wait, did you say final or finest? I think it was, okay, dang. Well, we'll see if we can make it one of the finest. Thank you guys for showing up. Kudos to you, 3 o'clock on a Sunday and you're here to be educated. You chose to sit through an hour-long presentation. Kudos to you. And thank you. I appreciate you being here. Is anybody gonna get to see the mouse or Harry Potter while they're here? Yeah? That's my favorite thing about doing the event in Orlando is getting to go over to the parks. But my wife couldn't come with me this year, so she forbade me to go. I am not allowed to go. So somebody have a butterbeer for me, okay? He mentioned that I talked to thousands of business owners throughout the year. That's probably accurate. It might be a little exaggerated, but the ARA, folks, you guys are absolutely my favorite. And I'm not just saying that to suck up. It's actually true. I feel like I am in a room with my friends. And it's because I have been chatting with you guys for 10 years now. I work closely with a lot of ARA clients, and I feel like you guys are family. I've probably had 100 hugs today, which is great. Remember I said that when you're doing your evaluations. Today's presentation is all about your online reputation. And if you think that means how you rank on 1 to 5 stars, you're kind of right, but that story is so much bigger. So my goal today is to open your eyes to just how important this part of your online presence is. That's number 1. Number 2 is to give you some actual things that you can go home, start implementing to improve your online reputation and thus your income. And number 3 is I hope that I can make you laugh a little bit today. You okay with those 3 goals? All right. So I have 5 trends of reputation management that we're going to go over. Starting with number 1, building trust is more important than marketing. 84% of marketers agree that building trust will become marketing's primary objective in the near future. Now think about that for a minute. Building trust, marketing's number 1 objective? You might not think that would be the case. You probably have had marketing meetings, right? And in your marketing meetings, you discussed things like increasing sales, getting new leads, brand awareness, getting new customers, reducing churn. Those are the obvious goals of marketing, right? So how could building trust be the number 1 goal of marketing? Well, what if I were able to prove to you guys that if you built your online reputation and you got more people to trust you, that all of these other goals would just happen organically? Let's look at some stats to see if that's realistic or not. Here's one that says going from a 3-star to a 5-star rating would deliver businesses 25% more clicks on Google. Now, who here would like 25% more clicks to their website, right? That would be fantastic. And I concede that a click does not always equal a sale. I get that. But you have to admit, you have to agree with me when I say that driving additional traffic to your website would increase your bottom dollar, right? And here's the crazy thing. The inverse is probably true too. Maybe you already have 5 stars, but what would you do if you got a couple of bad star reviews and all of a sudden you had a decrease of 25% traffic to your website? Would that be painful? Would that hurt your business? Let's quantify that a little bit. How hard would it be to earn back that 25% decrease in traffic? I'll bet a lot of you guys are investing in some kind of strategy, either internet marketing or traditional media, to try and drive traffic to your business, right? Now, the average small to medium business that I work with spends about $2,500 a month on advertising. That could be SEO, it could be paid search, it could be television, radio, and of course in the smaller markets it's smaller, in the San Franciscos of the world it's a lot more. But if it were that average $2,500, just getting 25% more clicks would cost you about $625 a month, or closer to $7,500 a year. How's that for quantifying the value of your reputation? And that's just what it would take to get those clicks back. Here's one. 49% of consumers say that a business needs at least 4 stars before they will even use them. Now, I know you guys know your reputation is important, but did you know that if your reputation fell below 4 stars, that your opportunity to reach prospects would be cut in half? I can imagine getting a call from someone saying, business is down, we're just not sure why, and boom, I look at their star rating and it's very obvious to me. This is huge. And how much would you have to invest to get that back? How much money would you have to invest in advertising to get twice the results from half the prospects? So yeah, having that reputation above 4 stars is absolutely vital. Now, positive reviews make 73% of customers trust a local business. You guys believe this, right? It probably, as consumers, if you see positive reviews, that helps you trust a business. How about this one? This is maybe my favorite. 85% of consumers trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. Pause for effect. I didn't forget my next line. I just really want you guys to think about that. When you get a referral, when someone comes in and they say, hey, Joe told me to call you, how hard is it to make that sale? It's not hard at all, is it? Joe made the sale. You just have to take the order. What I want you to understand is if you manage your online reputation with intention, it can do the heavy lifting just like Joe did. All those sales calls that you do now could be more like order calls. That is why this is so important. And then, I'm hesitant to show you this next statistic, but I'm going to do it anyway. Here it is. 83% of buyers no longer trust advertising. How much does that hurt to hear? Do you guys invest money in advertising? How do you like a stat telling you that 8 out of 10 people don't even believe the stuff that you're investing in? I hate telling you because I have been in marketing for 2 decades. It's how I put food on my table. And here's a stat that says most people don't even trust it. So what do we do? If marketing isn't all it's stacked up to be, what do we do? Well, we have to get that reputation up. Let's look at trend number 2. Customer service that is beyond reasonable has become the expectation. Have you guys had this happen? You had someone call and they have these super high expectations of you and you're like, you know you're only paying me $40. Right? You guys have had that, right? I want to tell you guys about NPS, or Net Promoter Score. Is anyone in here measuring their Net Promoter Score? I'm going to guess not, all right? This is a big industry term, and most small to medium business owners have not grasped this. But I want you to see how valuable this can be. Now, Net Promoter Score, actually what it does is it measures customer experience, but more importantly, it predicts growth of your business. Knowing this score can be huge for you. It's a proven metric that transformed the business world, and it now provides the core measurement for customer experience programs. Big companies are using this, and it's all based on a single question. Yep, one question, and the question is this: how likely is it that you would recommend our business to a friend or colleague? Have you guys ever seen that question? Surely you've been asked that question. Maybe you bought something and then got an email later asking you that. Maybe my lawn care company does that, right? Like I have to answer that question when I go pay my bill online. Hotels do it. It's a question that you're seeing a lot. Now, it's just one question, so we as consumers don't mind answering it. But how it works is not as simple as pass, fail, yes, no, true, false. It's actually a little bit complicated. There's an algorithm involved in Net Promoter Score, and here's how it works. Consumers are asked the question, how likely is it that you would recommend us to a friend or colleague? And then the respondents are grouped into 3 categories. Those who gave the business a 9 or a 10, they are promoters, okay? Promoters are your loyal enthusiasts. They love you, they want to talk about you, they tell their friends about you. They're not going anywhere, and they're going to keep spending money with you. You want more promoters. You need more promoters. Those who answer with a 7 or 8 are called passives. Now, they're okay with your business, but they're not super enthusiastic. They're not blown away. Passive customers are actually vulnerable to competition, and they don't have a lot of loyalty to you, and they're not really talking about you. They're not saying good things about you. They're not saying bad things about you. They're not hurting your business, but they're also not helping it grow. Probably, most of your clients are pretty passive. They're just okay with things. And then there's the detractors, those folks who rated you 0 to 6. They are not happy. They are not pleased, and they like to talk too. Just like the promoters, they tell their friends about the bad experience that they had with you, and they actually hurt your business. So you definitely want less of those. Now, here's how the algorithm works. It's actually pretty simple. You basically take the percentage of promoters, and from that, you subtract the percentage of detractors. So if 50% of your respondents are promoters and 10% are detractors, well, then you're left with a Net Promoter Score of 40. Now, why is this important? Have you ever uttered this phrase? Everyone knows me. If you believe that, if you believe most of your business comes from referrals, then this particular calculation may be the most important thing to you. Because you're probably right. As much as I love being in marketing and selling paid search and geofencing and all those wonderful things, the reality is that most of your new business probably comes from referrals. Only a small percentage actually comes from marketing. So if this is true, then NPS is more important than ever because it measures and predicts how much business you will get from referrals. It's all based on how many promoters you get. And by the way, detractors can actually decrease your business. NPS scores vary by industry, region, or the characteristics of your customers, like age, income level, or time with the company. So it's impossible for me to tell you what your Net Promoter Score should be. I know that's what you're wondering, and guys, I tried to find some Net Promoter Scores for your industries, but they're not out there. But that's okay. Knowing the Net Promoter Score for rental is not that important to this conversation. Just stick with me. I promise we'll get there. But I do want to show you some examples. Now, looking at these numbers, do they surprise you? It appears that people are not particularly excited to refer their cable service provider or their internet service provider or their cell phone service provider. Service companies got it rough. Meanwhile, hotels, boutiques, department stores, they do all right. I'm going to go through a few big brands just to give you an idea of how this works, starting with this one. We got any fans of this company? Any Starbucks fans in here? They have a loyal following of teenage girls who love to post pictures of their venti, frappa, mocha, latte things, right? If you guys would expect most people who go to Starbucks would be okay with referring them to a friend, right? And you'd be right. They have an NPS of 77. That's the highest one you're going to see today, okay? What about AT&T? Oh, I hear some mumbling. You guys don't think it's going to be good, do you? I had a friend recently on Facebook who posted in all capital letters, "Damn, I hate AT&T." Meanwhile, I've had AT&T for a long time. I've never really had a problem with them. But if I were asked Would I refer them to a friend? Not quite there. I'm probably a 7 or 8, so I'm a passive. I'm not hurting their business, but I'm also not helping it grow because, frankly, they've never exceeded my expectations. The phone does what it's supposed to do, big deal. So does all the other companies, right? Well, AT&T's Net Promoter Score is 15. Now, I thought it might be interesting to know what their competitors were, so I looked those up as well. Verizon has an NPS of 7. Meanwhile, T-Mobile's is a 35. Now, here's the funny thing. If you were to watch a Verizon commercial and an AT&T commercial and a T-Mobile commercial, they'd all look to be about the same, don't they? They all have the best coverage. They're all awesome. They all give you an iPhone, whatever. Like, in marketing, they all look great. But this number tells us something that no marketing metric could. This number tells us how their current clients feel about them. So if you were going to invest in one of these companies tomorrow, which one would you invest in? Yeah, because apparently people who have T-Mobile are more likely to refer it than people who have AT&T and Verizon. Now, I also found this one, which I thought was interesting, but it got me thinking, do you think that they interviewed actual Pampers customers or their moms and dads? I mean, I know kids are getting online early, but no? Was that not good? All right. Hey, Siri, remind me to remove that joke from the presentation going forward. Okay, so here's my challenge to you. I always give you guys homework, right? Here's your homework. Start asking your clients that question. How likely are you to recommend my business? Figure out what your Net Promoter Score is. I don't care if it's terrible. It doesn't really matter what it is right now. What matters is that you grow it. Okay? It could be a 28 or a 45 or a 50, but when you listen to the promoters and find out why they love you, ask them, why do you love us? What can we do? We'll do more of that. Ask the passives, hey, I'm grateful that you are a 7 or an 8, but what could we have done to exceed your expectations? And then the detractors figure out why they hate you. You know, maybe you need lower prices. Maybe you need better availability. Maybe you need faster delivery. It doesn't matter. Learn what will get you more promoters and work on this score. Next year, if I'm back, I want to hear you guys say, McBee, we started out as a 40, today we're a 48, or whatever it is, because the revenue that you are seeking to increase will come when you grow this score. It's like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. Ask yourself, what can I do to get more promoters? And by the way, sometimes it means spending a little extra money or giving that extra service. But if it means that you're going to have a whole bunch of promoters out there speaking positively on your behalf, isn't it worth it? Promoters can grow your business in a way that marketing simply cannot. And that's why I want to tell you about my experience with Scheels. A little while ago, I bought some sneakers at Scheels, and I liked them for about 2 weeks. And then, like, in the back right foot in the heel, there was like this little pinch thing. It was like a rock was in there, but I couldn't see a rock, and it just, every time I walked, it hurt my foot, and it was driving me nuts. So I thought, man, I'm gonna take these shoes back. But I was prepared to have an argument with customer service because, I mean, I'd wore the shoes for 2 weeks. They were a little bit worn, and this imaginary rock, you couldn't see it. So I walk up to the customer service counter. I tell him my story. He grabs a new pair of shoes, and he gives them to me, exchanged, no questions asked. What? I know, I was like, that was the easiest exchange in the history of the world. And here's the thing. I've never bought sneakers at Scheels before. But let me ask you guys the $1 million question. Where do you think I'll buy my next pair of sneakers? And the $2 million question, where do you think I'll tell all my friends to buy sneakers? Where have I just told all of you guys where to buy sneakers? Holy crud, they didn't know they were helping out a guy who was going to talk to hundreds of people. Promoters can really grow your business in a way that's almost impossible to predict. And by the way, Shields has an NPS of 69. Based on what I just shared with you, is anyone surprised? It's all about this concept of exceeding expectations. Even when your customers' expectations are beyond reasonable, think about, is it worth it? Will they be a promoter? Will they be out there talking about my business? Will they refer my business? And if the answer is yes, then go that extra mile. Trend number 3. Businesses like you guys are asking happy customers for reviews, and they're being punished for it. You guys are on Google, Facebook, Yelp, right? You're in these places where people can rate you 1 to 5 stars. And I'll bet if you're like me, you watch your rating like a hawk. Am I right? And when a new rating comes in, you kind of hold your breath while you're reading it. Like, is that good? Oh, it is good. Okay. Or if it's bad, you're like, oh, you kind of just lose your mind a little bit, right? Oh, I'm pushing buttons by accident. And it's because it's so important to us to have that star rating up there, right? But tell me if you believe this statement is true or false. Most of the time when you get a negative review, it's fake or unfair, or maybe it's a misunderstanding. Or how about a downright lie? Raise your hand if you've had a review like that. Really, raise it high. I won't ask you to raise your hands a lot, but when I do, I really want to know, has this happened to you? Yes. So what do you do about it? The best way to deal with all these negative reviews, whether they're fake or real, is to just get more positive reviews. Now, I'm not telling you something you don't already inherently know. When you go to Amazon and you see a product that has 300 product reviews and say 30 of those are iffy or bad, will you still buy the product? Yeah. What if you go and find a product that has 300 positive reviews and no negative reviews? Well, then you kind of question the authenticity of that product and those reviews, right? You're like, oh, but then you make everybody happy? How you do that? Right? So, what do? We ask our happy customers to write reviews. We ask them to their face. We send them emails. We implement services that send out a request for a review because we have to, right? But guess what? Google would not be happy with us for doing that. It's something that they call review gating. It's when you ask only your happy customers to write a review for you. And Google doesn't like it because they feel that it gives a biased look at your business. They want all reviews to be organic, to come naturally without you influencing them at all. Well, Google, I want barbecue to grow my hair back, and that's not going to happen. By the way, I said hair back, not back hair. That's a different thing. So I ask people, and you should too. They're not likely to just go write you a review unless you prod them. I ask people, I say, please, thank you for the compliment. Now, my online reputation is incredibly important to me. Would you take that compliment? Would you go put it online somewhere? Because it's important for future readers to know that so that they can evaluate me. Google would not be a fan. They would slap my hand for this thing called review gating. And by the way, the penalty for review gating is this. A business may be stripped of all their reviews and will not be allowed to get new reviews for an undetermined time period. Wow, those are the consequences of crossing the almighty Google. So what do? Well, the thing is, we still have to ask for reviews. Google doesn't want us cherry picking. They want a well-rounded look at your business. The problem is that people who are happy are just not likely to be motivated to go write a review as much as people who are unhappy. Reviews that come naturally are usually written by, tell me if you'll believe this, your competitors. You've had that happen, right? Ex-employees with a grudge. And then, oh God, I hate this. When they call you up, they want a quote or something, and you don't even do business with them, and then they go write a review? What is that? Have you had that happen? How irritating is that? That's crazy, right? Now, I had a business owner call me once in great distress over this review. It is quite disappointing to find out that the ownership of this business supports Frequency and owns a timeshare at the Trump property. I will never again support a business that turns a blind eye to the social problems such as bigotry and downright hatred. No matter how you feel about the president, I hope you will agree with me that this is an unwarranted review. This has nothing to do with the business. This has nothing to do with their products or services. It's a florist, by the way. Yeah, someone who sells happiness. So she said, well, what do I do about this? And I thought about it quite a bit, and I thought maybe she could write a polite review saying something about how her Trump property really doesn't have anything to do with her products, right? But tell me if you guys agree with me that that probably would have backfired. I mean, then the reviewer would have commented something else, and then we got some other people involved, and it would have gone down this whole political social media turn, So I told her, I said, don't respond at all. Let's just not, okay? Let's just ignore it and hope it goes away. At the time, this was her 12th review on Facebook, and it brought her ratings down really low. I mean, I think she was down to the 3s. And we all know what that can do to a business, right? So I said, it's time. You have got to take this more seriously. So that's exactly what she did. She piled on a bunch of reviews. She started asking her customers, please review us, please review us, please review us. And what she did was she got 38 reviews. Now her business is a 4.8 on Facebook, and that review, it's still up. But you have to scroll a lot further than the average person is willing to. No one's ever going to see that. So, review sites want us to get all of our reviews organically. They want it to come naturally. But the problem is that review sites are expecting a fair and accurate world. But the world is not fair and accurate. So yeah, you have to ask for positive reviews. Now, when it comes to fake reviews, there are patterns that are easy to spot. This world we live in where we get a bunch of fake reviews, it doesn't have to exist. I don't know why it still exists. I've studied online reputation management, and I can tell you there are a couple of really easy ways to see if a review is fake. For example, if a reviewer who lives in Boise, Idaho, reviews local businesses in Cincinnati, Albuquerque, and San Diego all in the same week, that person's probably sitting at a desk getting paid to write fake reviews, right? And it's not that hard to look up what were your other reviews, where were you? And then there's the reviewer who maybe they're an ex-employee or a competitor and they want to remain anonymous. So what do? They create a whole new fake profile and they go write a negative review about your business. But if you see a review from a business or from someone who has no web history, that's a huge red flag. That probably is a fake review. So I have a request and a prediction. My request is this. As users, as you're surfing the web, as you're shopping and picking out companies, and you run across a review that you feel might be a little bit fishy, please report it. Please mark it, or, talk to the site administrator. Well, don't talk to them, email them, right? Only when Facebook, Google, and Yelp get a lot of pushback from their users will they implement algorithms that will help to push down these negative reviews. It's on us as users. Now, they actually have a system in place right now where you can vote on reviews. Yelp has useful, funny, and cool. So if you see a Yelp review, you can choose useful, funny, or cool. Where's the negative one? Google allows you to share it or like it. Facebook, of course, has thumbs up, heart, ha-ha, wow, sad, and angry. Now, only sad and angry really are kind of like down votes. Would you guys agree? I actually thought about using that angry vote back on the Trump review, But what I realized was that could be interpreted two ways. It could be interpreted that I too was pissed that they owned a Trump property, right? It could also be that I was angry at the reviewer for writing a review that wasn't relevant. So I really couldn't say to Yelp or Facebook what I wanted to say. So here's my prediction. I think sites like Yelp, Google, and Facebook will eventually have to give us better choices, like fake, unfair, inappropriate, irrelevant, and my best idea for a button ever, you're probably an ex-employee or, a competitor. That's kind of a big button. That one probably won't happen. But a guy can dream, right? Now, do you know what site does a pretty good job of filtering reviews? Amazon does. Amazon does two things to make sure that they don't get a bunch of fake reviews. First of all, you have to spend $50 a year on Amazon to write a review. Now, you might think that's everyone. Apparently, it's not. My aunt read my book and went to write a review, and they wouldn't let her post it. I was like, what? Come on. The other thing that they do is if you actually bought the product on Amazon, they put the words verified purchase next to your review. These are just their ways of making sure that people don't build fake profiles or use bots or just create these fake reviews. And I think that's important. If Amazon can do it, why can't these local sites, right? Here's my quote for you guys. The only way to eliminate phony reviews is to start policing them. That's on us. It falls to the sites themselves, it falls on us, and it's going to help guide future purchase decisions. All right, trend number 4. This is my favorite part, and I hope you guys love it as much as I do. Business owners are standing up to reviewers. You like it already, don't you? Now, I gave a presentation on online reputation management for the ARA several years ago. Were any of you guys at that? You were there? All right. At the time, the advice sounded like this. Don't respond immediately, okay? Don't be emotional in your response. Thank the reviewer, be polite, apologize for whatever it is you did wrong, try to make it right, basically fall on the sword. And then, of course, if it's a real thing that actually happened, offer to fix the problem and ask for reconsideration. I don't think that is bad advice. I mean, basically what I'm saying there is be nice, right? Be nice is always good advice, especially when you realize that you're talking to future readers. You're not really responding to the reviewer. But now, I'm going to tell you that the trend in responding to reviews comes with a little more sass. Rather than explain it to you, I'm going to show you a couple really fun examples. This first review is for a local fast food chicken restaurant. Now, forgive me, I'm going to use some silly voices to try and differentiate the characters, okay? Worst mashed potatoes on the planet! They mess up my order every time I go there, and if I could leave no stars, I would. Seems like a real review, right? But when the business owner dug a little bit deeper into this, he discovered something interesting. Here's his response. I'm sorry you don't like our smashed potatoes. By the way, don't you love that? That's an apology that's not really an apology. It's like, I'm sorry you feel like you need an apology. I'm sorry you don't like our smashed potatoes and that your order is messed up each time you eat here. Your only other review is for McDonald's, which is your employer. Okay, this is exactly what we've been talking about. This review was written by a competitor. Your only other review is for McDonald's, which is your employer that you rate as 5 stars by saying, and then he copies and pastes their review into his response. Do not pay attention to these reviews. Half of them cannot spell or even use the right grammar. Yes, those are spelling and grammar issues in the review admonishing spelling and grammar issues. I can't make this up, people. People do not understand that this McDonald's is understaffed. They don't understand the difficulty of running this establishment with only 2 people working in a full-time drive-thru and lobby. Okay, I think that chicken restaurant owner, man, that is some evil genius next level stuff right there. Don't you guys agree? He goes on to say how he always has a staff of 6 people and how he makes everything from scratch. He basically uses the review to promote his business. Now, for the record, I'm not recommending that you do it like this, okay? I do want you to stand up to reviewers, but as I looked at that guy's reviews, I felt like he was a little bit adversarial. You know, he kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, which isn't something a restaurant owner should do. So if you're going to defend yourself, try not to sound so defensive. I think you need to walk a thin line between being clever and professional and defensive. This next example does it a little bit better. This is for a local dentist. Had a terrible experience here. I got a second opinion from another dentist and saved hundreds of dollars and didn't have to get an unnecessary procedure done. John Smith. Okay, do you guys see what I see? First of all, it doesn't appear that he actually hired the dentist to do any work. So why does he feel compelled to write a review? I mean, you called him, you didn't like the price, so you went somewhere else. Don't review this business. Secondly, John Smith, are you kidding me? And now, the lovely dentist's brilliant response. Because of this thorough and unrelenting review, we are now offering great service once again. Thank you, John Smith, for your review and for letting us know how terrible we are. We are strictly opposed to being terrible, so we had a staff meeting in which we discussed the terrible. You will be pleased to know that we have a plan of action to not be terrible any longer. And if that wasn't already spicy enough, she calls out the fake elephant in the room. Since we were unable to locate you as a patient in our system, we'll have to assume that you have reasons for wanting to remain anonymous. Witness protection, maybe? You weren't an actual customer, maybe? We would like to compliment you on your choice of John Smith as a pseudonym. John Smith is our favorite historical figure. I mean, hello, Jamestown? He single-handedly saved the colony from devastation just like you saved us from devastating terrible. I almost forgot that was in there. Now, if you're sitting there appalled that she went too far, you love it? I love it too, right? But if you think maybe she went too far, she does end the response with this professional ending. In all seriousness, if you would like to contact us directly to share with us how we let you down, we really would like to learn about your experience so that we can improve. Please call the office and ask to speak with us directly. Thank you. Are you with me? Is that just motivating? Is that exciting to you guys? Listen, as business owners, you probably just love that. You've probably bitten your tongue and swallowed your pride and wrote a nice professional response to someone who wrote you a fake review. But this is good, isn't it? Now, who did she write this for? Did she write it for the person? Did she write it for John Smith? She wrote it for my presentation. That's maybe what she did. No, she wrote it for future readers. That's the important thing to remember here. She's trying to talk to future readers so that when they read that review, they get a different picture. And here's my question to you. If you were looking for a dentist and you saw this review, might you be inclined to go to her because of this? I mean, she really made herself stand out among all the other dentists, right? I'd be all like, damn, I'm going to that dentist with the moxie. Nobody says moxie. I don't know where that came from. Now, I guess it could backfire if the future reader doesn't have a sense of humor. But I don't think that future reader is the right fit for this dentist anyway, do you? So you're going to have to decide how you want to do this. Now, maybe you like this tongue-in-cheek approach. Maybe you feel like if someone writes you a negative, fake, false review, that they should be punished. Anyone feel like that? Anyone feel like, hey, I want to take legal action? That is something that you can do. By the way, I'm not an attorney, so this next section of the presentation is not advice. Now, I'm going to read from my notes because I want to make sure and get this exactly right. I was recently contacted by a business owner who told me that she was in the middle of a lawsuit pertaining to fraudulent Google reviews. One of her competitors had left multiple fake reviews of her business. She opened up a lawsuit, and her attorney subpoenaed Google, who provided the IP addresses of the devices from which several of the reviews were written. And many of those devices matched up directly with her competitor's real-world street addresses. Now, I don't know about you, but if I were going to write a fake review, I don't think I would do it from my own phone or from my own computer. So some of the people went to the local library. Those were the fake reviews too. Now, I don't think I'd run to the library to write a real review, do you? So here's what happened. When she called me, she had been fighting this case for over 2 years. It's a slow process. She did get some of the fake reviews removed, but she hadn't been compensated for any monetary loss, and the people who wrote the reviews had not been punished. And that seems to be the case with big brands as well. Maybe you heard of this. CNN recently wrote a story about skincare brand Sunday Riley, who wrote fake Sephora reviews for 2 years. Employees of the company were encouraged to write fake reviews and dislike negative reviews in order to boost sales. A former employee of Sunday Riley actually blew the whistle, provided emails of the conspiracy and everything, like absolute evidence that this was going on. The FTC actually settled with Sunday Riley, but the lawyers for Sephora were not happy. Here's a direct quote from them. Today's proposed settlement includes no redress, no discouragement of ill-gotten gains, no notice to consumers, and no admission of wrongdoing. Sunday Riley and its CEO have clearly broken the law, and the commission has ordered that they not break the law again. So, you have to decide. You get a negative review, whether it's real or fake, you have to decide which one of these things you're going to do. Are you going to be nice? Are you going to fall on the sword? Are you going to swallow your pride? Are you going to argue with them? Are you going to defend yourself like our chicken restaurant guy? Are you going to fight back in a playful manner? P.S. If any of you want me to write a review response like that, I think I'd be interested in doing that. Just for fun, I think I'd like to do that. Or do you want to, take your case to Judge Judy? It's up to you. All right, trend number 5. Using SEO for online reputation management is gaining a lot of momentum. Okay, SEO, search engine optimization. If you've done anything online in the last 10 years, you're probably familiar with what that is. But let me give you my big, brief definition. It's doing things to your website so that Google will rank it high on search engines. Simple as that. There are a lot of elements in the SEO world, like the algorithm changes like something like 480 times a year. There's a lot of complexities to it, but there are a few things that are very high level, very simple that you can do, like you can have a very popular site. You can have a good clean URL structure. That's the www words here. You can make sure that your HTML is all cleaned up, and then you can make sure that your content has keywords in it, and that you provide a lot of content. I don't want to get into all this right now. That's an entirely different seminar, but I do want to focus on this idea of content. Because content can not only help your own website rank, but it can also help you get other websites to rank. Stay with me for a minute. We're probably all familiar with what Boeing is going through right now with their 737s. Like the Wall Street Journal, CNN, New York Times, and hundreds of other news outlets are writing all these terrible things about Boeing. You can't Google Boeing without seeing something negative. Now, I recognize you guys are not Boeing, and you probably don't have hundreds of people, talking bad about you. But if you have anything negative on the first page of Google when someone searches for your name. Maybe it's just your Yelp page. Like, who here hates Yelp, right? We want to get rid of that stuff. So here's the thing. You actually cannot negatively impact someone else's content. So when you can't change how they rank, what you can do is try to get it moved to page 2. Why is that a good deal? Well, do any of you guys go to page 2 of Google? 75% of users will never scroll past the first page of a search engine. In fact, there's an old joke in my industry that says, where's the best place to hide a dead body? Page 2 of Google, right? Nobody goes there. So what we want to do is move that negative content to page 2. So how do we do that? Well, we have to take over page 1. We need our business to own all 10 of those slots on the first page of Google. Does that sound daunting to you? A little bit, but I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. And the first step is really simple. You need to have an exact match domain, or an EMD. That's a domain that is your business name. If your business URL is something like Time to Party, but your actual business name is Party Rentals Wisconsin or something like that, consider changing your URL to your name, because it is really valuable. For our purposes today, I'm going to use my name because I want you to know how you can do this as an individual, and I kind of double as an individual and a business, because David McBee is my name and my business name. So when you Google David McBee, davidmcbee.com is top of the list. It should be, right? Well, I'll tell you this. David McBee, the real estate agent, David McBee, the musician, David McBee, the author, the other author, they probably aren't happy that my website has ranked for their names for almost 20 years. But it's because I have this exact match domain. Meanwhile, there's this result, David McBee on mugshots.com. The good news is that's not me. It's this guy. I mean, weirdly, we have a lot in common. We're about the same age, race, gender, height, even nearly the same. He's got more hair than me, so that's something. And I've never been charged with a conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute methamphetamines. Now the good news, oh my God. Now the good news is I had to go to page 5 to even find this. So no one's ever going to find this negative content because I have so much great stuff on the web, right? You're welcome, Meth David. Now, the second thing you can do is take advantage of your URL structure. Google loves it when keywords are in your URL. So I added a page to my website called Testimonials, and the URL of that page is davidmcbee.com/testimonials-reviews. So if you Google David McBee reviews, guess what shows up at the top of the search engines? Guys, this is something simple you can implement tomorrow. Area rental reviews, or arearental.com reviews. Create a review page and just put some of your best reviews up there. Great, great strategy. And then this one's kind of obvious. Take ownership of, and build up all sorts of content on all your social media profiles. Maybe you've had a LinkedIn profile forever and just have never done anything with it. Maybe you didn't think it was relevant to your industry. Well, guess what? If you start putting a lot of content on LinkedIn, we're talking photographs, we're talking videos, we're talking articles. You can become a thought leader on LinkedIn. You can answer other people's questions, comment. Now LinkedIn is going to see that you are authoritative on their site, so a search for your name or your business name will make LinkedIn appear on the first page of Google. Same thing with your Facebook, your Twitter, your Pinterest. Just even if you don't believe that those are resources for you to win business, they can be utilized to start taking up some of those spots on the first page of Google, okay? Now, we could spend all day on how to rank well for insert social media channel here, but we're not going to do that. Go home, Google that, and just dive in with creating content, okay? But it doesn't just end with social media. If you provide content to industry-specific or big news sites, that can help you as well. I've written a lot of articles for Rental Management Magazine. And maybe you've read them. Maybe you thought I was getting paid for those. Maybe you thought I just did them because I was nice. No, I do them because I want a presence on an authoritative site. And then here's a crazy idea. What if your ideas weren't, or what if your content wasn't even business specific? Does your business have a softball team? Do you guys participate in extracurricular activities? In my hometown of Kansas City, we have barbecue competitions like every week. And business owners go to these barbecue competitions as a business. They enter them. This is a great opportunity to get more content out on the web about their business. Or maybe you participate in a charitable event. Now, my mom always said, do good and then shut up about it, right? But that doesn't apply here. This is an opportunity for you to get more positive content on the web about your business. And then this will really hit you off guard. What about your own personal hobbies? Is there a way that you could leverage that to get another one of those spots on the first page of Google? I'm an amateur photographer in my part-time. Just for fun, I take a lot of photos, and I've been uploading my photos to a photo sharing site called Pexels for a few years. I do it because I love photography, no other reason. But a strange thing that happened is that my photos have been viewed 49.5 million times, and they have been used on 13,000 different websites, including Forbes, Daily Mail, Huffington Post, Mashable, and Yahoo. I had no idea that this hobby of mine would impact my online reputation, but there it is. Now, do I expect you guys to go do what I did? No, but I want you to think, what is it that I do? What can my business do that's not so obvious that might turn into a great place to put my content on the web? By the way, if you Google David McBee, my Pexels page is ranked number 7 or 8 or something like that. So the key is to optimize at least 10 sites so that you own the first page of Google. Those news sites, all the things we just talked about. And by the way, if it isn't obvious, it's easier to get a site that you have on page 2 to come up to page 1. So go see where you rank on page 2 and start with those rather than starting from scratch. Now, if you think that this last 10 minutes of this presentation doesn't apply to you because you don't have any negative content on the web, consider an offensive approach just in case. What if something negative got written about you tomorrow? What if it was something totally out of your control? Maybe you hire one of David McBee meth head buddies and he crashes your truck. That's going to have your business name in it, right? So take control of your online reputation just in case something happens in the future. And with that, I'm going to open it up for questions, hoping that you guys have some. My mic runners, just you guys pick, and I'll just go with the voice.
What do you have any suggestions on what service to use to handle my online reputation? Should I be paying somebody to do that? And what should I look for if I do try to get somebody to do that?
All right, so you want to know if there's a service to help you do this, and there is. There's a few different ones. I don't want to name any, because I use one and I sell one, but if you want to, just Google online reputation management, and there'll be several ads right there at the top. What you want to look for is someone who has a system that will automatically email your clients, and that email will link them directly to the pages you want amplified. So if they automatically go to Yelp, Facebook, and Google, but you hate Yelp, don't use that one, right? We want to amp up Google and Facebook so that Yelp goes away. That's all you got to look for. Okay, over here.
Hi.
Hi.
This one is good. Can you hear me?
Nope.
Oh.
I mean, I said no, can you hear me, which
Okay.
obviously I did, but.
I just wanted to ask a question because we received a review that was obviously fake. There was no record of them even using us, and they gave us a 1 star. And so we went online and read in Google that you can go and report it, and then eventually they would remove the review. Well, that never happened, and I reported it 21 times, and it never came off at all. So I was wondering, what was the basis for reporting it if they're not going to remove it?
That's a good question. You're kind of asking me to explain how Google thinks, which I don't even want to try and do. But I do think it is important, okay? I do want you to report them, right? The problem is that happens so far in between that they're still ignoring you. But if we all do it, and if we all get into the habit of doing it, then they have to listen to us. Meanwhile, use these other strategies that I taught you to deal with that 1 star, okay? Don't just report it and then move on. Try the other strategies. Don't focus too much time on trying to get it removed. Having a negative review on your page gives you authenticity. It actually can be a good thing. Over here.
You mentioned the review gating. So I guess my question is, if you post online, hey, leave us a good review or something like that, or I guess my question is, how does Google monitor, track that, penalize?
The truth is they would have a very hard time knowing if you were doing that. But there are systems, like this gentleman asked about, that would do something. They would say, did you like our business? And if the person answered no, then they would say, write a review, and that review wouldn't go anywhere. It would just go into an email box, right? If they said yes, then they would send them directly to Facebook, Google, and Yelp. Okay, that is the technical definition of review gating. So just be careful that you're not doing that. Just ask everyone for reviews. That's your best bet. Okay? Here?
So one of the new trends, and we've all seen that businesses are talking back, but you're also seeing the public talk back. In our case, it was not our business, a local cookie store in the mall. The Girl Scouts came to sell cookies in the mall out front of the local cookie shop. The cookie shop owner asked maybe the girls could move down the way, down to a different entrance to the mall.
I know where you're going
to sell
with
cookies.
this. The Girl Scouts wrote a bad review.
Oh, the Girl Scout parents went a little, and it, at the same time as everybody read it went, then the public in town jumped on board for the cookie shop. It became an actual trend for 3 days. Team Cookie Factory trended, and everyone went to the cookie shop and bought cookies from the cookie shop lady. I mean, up against Girl Scouts, I couldn't believe it as I watched it unfold on social media. But how are we as
Great
businesses?
story. Is there
It's
a
a great
question?
story. The question is
I
I
loved
saw
it.
that happen, and I'm like, wow. But if that happens to me, how am I going to make sure? Because they did nothing. It just all unfolded naturally, totally organic. But are there ways to kind of get your audience to give the pushback to those
Oh
type of
gosh,
reviews?
I think
Have you seen those
if the
things
Cookie
work?
Factory had publicly said, help us out with this, that could have gone very south. Don't you guys agree? That went their way in a good way, but let's assume that it didn't. Let's assume they asked the Girl Scouts to move, the Girl Scouts mothers, because certainly the Girl Scouts weren't doing it, right? Wrote some negative things. The reality is, even that isn't such a big deal. A smart person's going to realize that's just dumb. The key is to have another 20 or 30 or 40 positive reviews on top of that so that the influence of those unfair reviews is minimal. That is the main takeaway. Don't worry about getting them removed. Respond with some sarcasm if you like, but the real answer is just get a ton more good ones. Okay? Where's the mic? Here?
Competitors paying for reviews. Like, leave a review, you get a discount, you get this, you get that if you leave reviews.
Yeah, that's a big no-no.
Yep.
People definitely do it, and there's not a lot of policing of it going on. But knowing that it's a no-no, I'm going to discourage you from doing it. Now, if you don't write it down, I mean, if they're there in your store and you say, I got free cookies if you write me a review, you didn't hear that from me. All right, where are we at over here? Where's the mic? No? Are we done? Any other questions? Oh, one up here. Man, kudos to you guys for hanging in here this long. I appreciate you.
So with my company or my family company, it's family run, owned, and operated. We have kind of two parts to our business. Do you recommend that we kind of group everything into one website and one kind of media stream, or should we separate it because
Is it Party and Tool?
No, that Party and Restaurant Supply.
Oh, Party and Restaurant Supply.
Yeah.
Let's ask the group. What do you guys think? Split those up or run them together?
Separate?
My gut tells me separate them.
I was right.
Totally different audiences. I think those should be separated too. That's been my experience with my personal rental clients. They are very different audiences, so they should be treated as such. Well, you can do a one website that has 2 buttons and then directs people, or you can do 2 different websites. All right, any other questions? All right, well, they're recording this, so can I have an amazing applause? Thank you guys so much. Can we edit the part about me asking for the applause out? I'll do that later.
Can I ask a question that I didn't